Have you ever had one of those days where, you had your child or children constantly doing the same thing and you've spoken to them like for the 50,000th time and it's like, okay, you know what? Hey, if you do one more thing, then I promise you, I'm gonna show you just how serious I am. And guess what? They end up doing it. And you're like, oh, okay, that's what you want to do. And it's like, I'm gonna get you out. I'm gonna wait your tail out. You just wait. It's like, and the child's like, what I do? It's like, I think I just pooped myself. It's like, I just want to let y'all know, welcome to parenthood. It's your boy, Be Real, and these are just moments where I would say these are moments that every parent will go through at some point. Like, there's no way around it. And just want to really discuss more so on specific theme of single parenting. Like, are single parents expected to be superheroes, or can they actually be human beings as well? Just, I ain't got it all figured out. So I just want to free everyone up. Like, first and foremost, get out of the mindset to think you have to be perfect. Guess what? Ain't no perfect parents. Like, breathe. Go ahead. Woosah. Woosah. It's like, It's like, yes. And I think that's one of the major things that I see a lot of single parents actually go through, because of the fact society puts on this thing that if you single, then you need to have it all together. You need to have it figured out. But mistakes will be made as a single parent. There's no way around it. But one of the greatest things about these mistakes is more so, how are you handling the mistake? Are you humbling yourself and actually allowing this situation to teach you so that you can grow from them? And that's one of the biggest things that I see a lot of single parents sort of struggle with. And I speak for that because I was, married twice. And first marriage, like, on reasons for not working out. And the second, it's more so me really struggling to understand one thing: I don't gotta be perfect. So I just want to highlight 3 keys to effective parenting. First, be real with you. Be real with yourself. Like, do some real self-examination, because I know every parent may not, desire to be single, like a single parent. And there's many situations and circumstances that may allow this to be the case for you. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, right or wrong. It's like, hey, it is what it is. But now that you're in this situation, you need to be real with yourself and begin to do some real self-examination. Like, figure out who am I really? Like, what's really in me? Seek a counselor to help you if you really need that help, because a lot of times we got childhood trauma that we're still recovering from or dealing with in our adulthood that we think we're fine with. And for some strange reason, especially, I would say my generation and generations before me, like, have this notion of we will not talk to anybody about anything that we went through. That's taboo. Get out of my face. No, I'm fine. And it's like, no, what if you're really hurting more than you think you are, and you're afraid to actually have someone show or reveal to you that you've really been hurting longer than you think? And these little childhood moments that you still ponder about in your dreams or when you're just sitting at home.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call.
My mom or my dad actually did that to me. Like, why did they allow this person or that person to actually, do this to me? It's like, if you're having those moments, that's a clear sign that, okay, I may need to speak with someone, and it's okay. That don't mean you're crazy, because we have deemed counselors to be this taboo thing of you only got to be crazy to talk to somebody. It's like, no. Now, am I saying just to go talk to any counselor? It's like, no. Find you a good one that can help you understand, okay, your issues from a clinical perspective. And I just said, for those of us who also are believers, like, once you get your clinical perspective, bring it to God and let him also give you a spiritual perspective on it. It's like, for me, that's exactly what I did, because I had no idea, for one. I was battling this whole anger deal. Like, I grew up in a very volatile, angry household, single mom trying to raise 4 boys as a teenager. Like, two of us we had as teenagers, and it's like, wow, my mom's still trying to figure out herself while also trying to help us discover and figure out who we really were. So, of course, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of mistakes that will be made and that were made. And she's trying to figure all this out on her own. Like, we had some males come in the picture here and there, but they really didn't do much as far as set an example or try to really alleviate the load that she was carrying. Like, it was one that I got to give props to, my baby brother dad. Like, he definitely stayed around the longest, and he provided financially, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally, just not the case. So what I end up seeing when I end up being married is I was afraid. I was afraid to be a man, a husband, a father, and a leader in this household, in this family, because no one had ever showed me any of this. So I'm stuck in a position trying to figure out, how do I do this? Like, okay, keep in mind, I'm saved. Be with the Spirit, have, these encounters with God, and I'm still lost because I had nobody ever tell me, oh, you're an orphan. It's like, whoa, what does that mean? What? Nah, my mom was in the picture. I'm not an orphan. It's like, yeah, because you actually still have the mentality that you don't have a father in the picture. So you're living your life as an orphan. It's like, I lack that realization that I need to understand that I'm a son who is loved by a father in heaven who cares deeply for me and wants to teach me how to be a father to a son, because I didn't grow up with my father, so I didn't fully understand that. So I was afraid to be a man, father, husband, and a leader. My fear made me feel inadequate. My inadequacy made me feel ashamed to tell my spouse what I was really feeling. My shame made me feel hurt that I couldn't provide my family with what they really needed, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And as a man, like, our sole purpose is to provide. So when we're in any position where we feel like we can't provide, that really pierces our ego. That pierces, I would say, the innermost being in a man, because we were designed to be provider. So having this here kind of hinder that. It's like, man, I don't want nothing to do with this. So I masked the hurt with my anger. I was really just hurt. And I masked it with being passive aggressive. Like, it's not, I was trying to be passive aggressive. Like, I was just really hurt by not being able to share what I'm really dealing with. And seeing everything kind of fall apart around me, and not knowing how do I fix this, because one, I'm trying to do it on my own. I'm not trying to actually depend on God to help me do it. Two, surround yourself with good accountability partners. You know, don't have any yes man around you or people who just gonna pacify you and how you feeling. Because sometimes the way we may be feeling, especially as a single parent, may be natural. The feeling may be natural, but it does not mean we're to stay in the same mindset. It's like, no. And sometimes how we feeling may just be completely wrong. Like, it's okay. Like, you having the perspective, I need to really punch and slap my child because they're not listening to me, and I justify it by saying I talked to them 10 times already and they ain't even listening. So that justifies you. It's like, no, you need somebody to pull you aside. Like, no, that's wrong. You know, or better yet, child is actually just being tired and you are yelling at them because they're doing tired things as a child. It's like, oh, been there many times. So it's like, so we need people who gonna like call you out. Like, hey, I understand you're frustrated because you're getting a lot of cranky energy, but there's better ways you could have handled that. You know, it's like, you know what? You're right. But if I be prideful, like, nah, you wrong. You get on my face. You don't understand what you're talking about because, hey, are you actually putting in work to try to help me with this child? It's like, we can get prideful and try to justify it by reacting in that manner, or we can just simply humble ourselves. Like, you know what? You're right. I will try my best to pay more attention to these things so that I can respond and not react. Because if I respond, I'm taking time to think about how would be the best way to effectively connect and reach this child. It just be, hey, gotta lay him down quickly. The best way you can. You may be out and about and may not be able to. It's like, okay, so you need more peace and grace than anything from God to help you be woosah. You know, it's one of those moments. And you need people who are going to challenge you, like being critically honest with you, but also going to challenge you to step up into a greater level. Like, if you're a believer especially, what are you trying to learn? Are you trying to learn how your father fathers you? Or are you more focused on trying to gain the approval and the acceptance of people? And the second your child disrupts that perception that you want to present to people, you hot. Because now this child has embarrassed you instead of like, no. What if I'm embarrassing my father by treating this child who is ultimately his? Our children belong to God. They are his blessings. They are a blessing from God. All children. So if our children are a blessing from God, why is it that we're trying not to trust him in the midst of this process? And this leads us right into number 3. Ask God what is his purposes for the child. You know, because that's one of the major things. Or if his children, hey, what are your purposes for these children, God? Because I know it's challenging trying to figure it out on your own. And that's one of the main things too. I want to really emphasize. You were not designed to try to do this on your own. You weren't designed to try to do it on your own as a single mom or dad, nor you designed to try to do it apart from God. Like God's word tells us that in the beginning he made man and woman. Then he brought them together and said, be fruitful and multiply. And he gave them their purposes. On top of giving them their purposes, like fast forward, we also began to see, I think it's Psalms 128. A man labors in vain if he builds the house without the Lord. Like, you can try building your house. In other words, you can try building your family apart from God, but you labor in vain trying to do that. And even John 15 talks about, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me will bear much fruit, but apart from me, you can't do nothing. It's like, he also goes into more like, hey, John 14, back it up, like, hey, you would do greater works than I. It's like, we just see that only as like a power move of God. It's like, yeah, he's going to give me so much power. I'm going to do all these miracles and this and that. It's like, that's a part of it. But I also believe it's also just the natural tendencies or responsibilities that we as men and women, mothers and fathers, are supposed to carry as well. Like, you're going to do greater works than you're going to raise up your children to also walk in power, because I have taught you how to walk in power. So now I'm tasking you with the responsibility to teach them how to walk in power. God desires godly offspring. The purpose of parenting is for him to receive like godly offspring from it. This is not just a natural thing, but also a spiritual thing. So there's a greater responsibility and task for us to really try to teach our children, even though we're limited in our resources as single parents. Sometimes, like, you may need that break because you're all over the place, and it's like, oh man, I don't got anything left in my tank right now. I am empty. It's like, if you don't have people around, like, great. I can vouch for it. It's like, you ain't got nobody around. What you can do is hang on by that thread. I call it, I'm hanging on by the hem of his robe. Like, as the woman with the issue of blood. It's like, look, I tried everything else and it didn't work. So I'm going to hang on to the hem of your robe and wait until some type of virtue from you come out and give me what I need. It's like, you can just hang on by that little thread until the child or children go to sleep, and you just spend that time crying out to God, like, oh, let it out. Like, regardless of if it's in a car, it's in the garage, it's outside your living room, whatever the case is, like, go to that place where you can be along with him and just let it all out. Because once you do that, you'll begin to see, like, oh man, I didn't realize how much I needed that. It's like, be honest with him. Like, tell him everything that you're feeling and dealing with. Because I think that's one factor too that we as parents, as single parents, sort of run away from. We try to shy away from the fact that God already knows what I'm feeling and dealing with, but I want to try to hide it and make myself seem more spiritual than I really am, because I feel better by doing this. Like, you keep lying to yourself and let me know how that plays out for you. Because at the end of the day, while you trying to work out this whole perfect persona and make people believe you got it figured out because you got this and you got that, and you ain't got to worry about other things that other people may have to worry about. It's like, oh, I got my job, I got my house, I got my car, I got my food, I know all this. It's like, while you trying to pretend that all those things are more important than you simply realizing or humbling yourself to see, you know what? No, this right here is not the most important. It's like, oh, okay, this is the most important. The fact that I don't got as much as I need spiritually. Yes, I may have it physically, but spiritually, I am struggling. It's like, oh, well, I wish I could try to help you with that. It's like, hey, you can. Pray for me. Don't be ashamed to ask people to pray for you, because I believe that's why, like, God wants us to be dependent upon him. Like, he's a community, like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, community. And he created people to be a community as well. Like, when the beginning, God is saying it's not good for man to be alone. He's not talking about, oh man, this brother over here sure looking kind of horny, so I'm gonna give him this little tender thing over here, and I'm gonna make sure that they get it on, because he needs that, right? It's like, no, that's not what God is talking about at all when he's saying it's not good for man to be alone. When he says it's not good for man to be alone, he's talking about communal living. Man saw creation all in their own communal environments, living together, and prospering in the degree that they were living in. But when it came to the man didn't have a community to live among and with. He was by himself. And it's like, you know what? That's not good for man to be that way. We, a community, and I created a creation of community So I want man to also have his own community to live among as well. And that's what happened. And that's why this stigma of like, oh, run away and stay away from single parents. Single parents don't date. You know, it's like they're crazy. They gonna have all this baby mama, baby daddy drama, and you know the children not gonna respect you or care for you the same way that they do their biological parents. It's like it's so much lies. There's so many lies and so much confusion around this whole topic that it's like I can dive in any area of it because I've had the wonderful privilege and the challenging opportunity to be like a part of different aspects of it. So I'm in this situation learning more than anything the simple reality that you can't put so much pressure on yourself as a single parent to be perfect. Like we're not superheroes. We are human beings at the end of the day. Yes, society may try to, separate the family structures again. Like we can dive into that as well. Well, I'll highlight it. Even here, it's like, pay attention to it. Why is it that men are still, you can say, attacked? Their identity attacked? Hey, man, it's okay. Be a woman. It's like, what? Like, identity attack? We have the government system of slavery, prisons. You've got that, as well as, just the whole setup against the structure of both parents being in the household. Because why is it that the government desire to take care of a single parent more than they do, especially single moms, like primarily? Because that's primarily what it is. When you talk about single parenting, it's primarily single moms. But there are single dads, and shouts out to all single parents first and foremost. Like, y'all are amazing. And when it comes down to, you as a single parent, you have to be okay, not trying to, I would say, bash those who may desire to come in and help you. Because not every person have the same agenda in their hearts. Not every person longs to, destroy, sabotage what you spent this time and energy cultivating over the years, And you have to be careful as well to where you don't put yourself in the same position to get back into having another child that's in this single parent mindset, single parent situation. It's like, as much as it may hurt to hear, like, why don't we try to really honor ourselves, love ourselves, and honor ourselves by waiting for that special person, that one person who can come into our lives and, I'll say, complement everything that we've already been building, and really bring out the best in us so we can help bring out the best in them. And then our children can begin to see the best being brought out of not only me as a single parent, but also this other person who steps in to be a single parent. And it's like, wow, so now there's two parents working together to build each other up. And the child's like, wow, this is cool. And now we can teach the child, this is what true love and unconditional love looks like. It doesn't try to put down one another. It doesn't try to, judge critically or unnecessarily. It's like, no, it looks at the best in a person and it begins to try to, like, okay, come on up here, because I want that goal right there that's in you. It's like, oh, okay. So we got all these things, food for thought to really chew on. So I'm gonna try to stop it there and just really highlight the fact, if you have gained anything that you can walk away with saying, you know what? Thank you. I feel better. I can breathe now, because I was so stressed out by trying to be a perfect parent, and I just did not decide that I didn't need this superhero title, this S on my chest. It's like, I don't need that. It's like, no, you don't. I actually need a savior to be my superhero so I can learn how to be a regular human being. It's cool. It's okay. You know, so y'all, you know, I'm about to go ahead and jump off, but look, make sure you go ahead and hit. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like as well as the subscribe. And we got more stuff coming your way. So be on the lookout.